welcome to the Scholar Progenium. Today we've got another exciting Achtung Panzer battle report for you. This time I'm taking the Brits out for a spin and JP's going to be defending with the trusty Germans. Things first, let's take a look at the British platoon. Now, I've gone for a mixed bag here. I want to try a few things out, such as the scout rule on the Humber and the light cannon, which lets you load really quick. Now, we'll roll for crew grade. I've got a high caliber Churchill Mark 6. I've got a high caliber Cromwell Mark 7 and a high caliber Humber Mark 4. So Churchill first. Yes, a 1, that's going to be 6 crew points. Then we've got the Cromwell, come on lad, and it's going to be a 4.
What was it? 7.
He's on 7 crew points, I'll take that. And then I'm looking for a big fat greasy 9 crew points here. 5, that's an 8, I'll take it. Although I'd rather have that on the big tank. So next up, the Germans. Now he's got a regular medium caliber Stug at 18 points. And then a high caliber Panther G at 32 points here. So let's see what you get on the Stug, JP.
So on the Stug, a 1, so that is 4.
Oh, 4.
And the big one on the Panther.
It's got 1, that's a 6. Okay, so we've got a few more crew points with the Brits. We've got an extra tank. That's what we needed. Let's assign some upgrades. So we've recruited our crew, and let me give you a little bit of an overview before I go into the details. So my idea here is I've gone for veteran gunners across the board so I can get reroll 1s to hit, because I really need to be getting every chance I can. When I get a chance to shoot him in the side on that Panther, I can't actually pen his armour 13 on the front of his hull or turret. So I'm going to have to shoot his running gear as well. So I need to be aiming and picking my shots well. I've also got a scout trait on the Humber, and what that means is when he spots a vehicle, all of my friendly units spot him as well, even if they don't have line of sight, which means I can get straight to aiming with my other 2 tanks. So for that reason, I've given him a veteran commander, so he's getting that spot off straight away, hopefully that free spot. And then finally, I've sort of lowest priority, even though we're playing envelopment, essentially the Achtung Panzer version of that, where I need to get off the board and I'm the attacker. I've chanced it and decided I'm going to have to get those shots or he'll wipe me out before I even get close to the opposing board edge. So I've gone for untrained green drivers on both my Cromwell and my Cruiser, but my Humber, because I had 8 points to spend, he could afford a trained driver. So the Humber's hopefully going to be driving around, firing off shots, calling out shots to the other tanks, hopefully be able to hit him in the tracks, do some damage with my low caliber weapon. And because he's a light cannon, when you give an order to load the breech, it goes from the ammo rack straight to the ready. So the veteran gunner, he doesn't actually need to pass an order check for that. He just got that order check so he can aim low. You need to pass a skill check on your gunner if you want to aim either high or low, and then you've got a higher chance of picking where the shot lands, which will be really useful. I need to de-track him basically. And then, yeah, finally we've got a veteran commander on the Cromwell Cruiser. He's my leader, and he's going to be giving me 5 cards in my hand instead of 4 each turn, 5 event cards. So that's the overall sort of thought process behind the Brits. We've got to dash up the board, we've got to get off the opposing player's edge, and for a while, because he's got compulsory reserves, one of his tanks is going to be in reserve for the first 10 minutes. So if I can outnumber the other one and finish him off quickly, or at least get him bruised and battered a bit, then hopefully we'll be in with a chance. JP, so you got a little unlucky there. You got only 4 and 6 crew points respectively. What? Talk us through your thought process here.
So with me having to put a tank into reserve, I'm gonna have to go with a Panther on the table to try and equal the numbers as quickly as possible.
3 on 1.
So I've given the commander the veterancy, so get the extra card in hand, and I've given the regular gunner so he's able to get those shells into the chamber fast, and just hopefully I can position him as the defender in a nice fire and arc first turn, so the driver doesn't have to move.
And then you had only 4 points to spend on your Stug, so what have you gone for?
I'm just going to try and outshoot the English, so I've gone for a gunner to get those shells in again nice and quickly.
On the 3 up, yeah.
And again, the commander's just there to pass orders, and the driver should ideally just pass them on a 4 up, but that's the point I had to spend.
Right, now you need to roll for special ammunition. None of the British guns are capable of firing specialist ammunition.
It's late war, so I'm -3.
Yeah, early 1945, -3. So he gets
Get
one
one
special shell.
I will allocate that to the Panther.
So he's supercharging the Panther, of course. Right, okay, so we'll be back with the setup thing. Before we get started, we've got to roll for our asset cards. So the Brits get 7 stars, bro. And 6 for... Okay, so we're going to have plenty of assets available on this attack for the field of battle after deployment. Now, starting off, we'll go through terrain. We've got 8 pieces of ambush terrain, 2 bits of woodland on the British side of the board with this hill in the centre as well. 2 more bits of sort of bushes and woodland by the edge of the road, and then a rocky outcrop over here. Finally, 2 more bits of woodland, so relatively similar. In terms of other terrain, we've gone for bocage across this edge of the board. JP won the roll-off, so the Panthers set up against the bocage. As the defender, he can set up anywhere within his table half. The Brits, however, have to set up within 6 inches of their table edge, and I've split my forces. I've got the heavy side armour of the Churchill over there protecting the Humber, and sort of, in case he tries to shoot side on with his Panther across the board. And then I've got my Cromwell ready to shoot him in the side if he turns face on against these guys. So we're going to try and rush him and get him in the side before his Stug comes on. You see, as the time elapses, I get to roll the first dice, and I'll only be rolling 1 JP for time elapsing, because the Panther is on his own until the 10-minute mark, at which point you can come on from your board edge, is it, as support?
I believe so.
Okay, so and then the Stug can appear. Now that could be a critical moment. You may think, oh, that's quite far back to have to come on, and it's a 45-minute game in total. And however, the name of the game for the Brits is they have to actually score by getting all the way across the board and off the defender's table edge. Each tank or vehicle that achieves that scores them 2 points, and each tank they knock out scores 1 point. So I've not gone for very skilled drivers, even though I score by driving off your table edge. It is what it is. I feel like I've got to fight the fight to get there. JP, on the other hand, is a very simple mission. It's just 2 points.
Defend the crossroads.
Yeah, defend the crossroads. So we've been probing. We want to seize this road, maybe cut off a vital supply line for the Germans. And yeah, the mission sort of lore, the mission background says that you've been probing the lines and you've found a position to try and break through. And so yeah, I've got my Humber, so it seemed cool that the Brits would be doing that. So yeah, we've got the Brits. They found a weak point, they believe, but it looks like a Panther's been brought up to support that, and the Stug will be coming soon enough. So all that's left to do is radio checks for the first turn, and then we'll pick our initiative dice. For the Brits, we get a reroll on this because of our Humber. The other benefit of being a scout is you get a reroll on your radio check. I don't get it off, so I'm picking blind. All ready to go. Initiative assigned, but no one knows who's going in what order at the moment. So I'm going, it looks like first with the Churchill, second with the Humber, and third with the Cromwell. Nice. Panthers last. I guess it lets you react. So first with the Churchill, and I've put a reverse on accidentally, but it's going to be an advance order. And then I'm also going to try and pass a skill check for a dash, try and get up to this wall. So Brits flew through their first action phase. Humber advanced forward and then did a scoot, and he got 4 inches, so 12 inches in total. The Churchill managed to get a 4-inch scoot as well, and he moved his 4 inches forward, I think it is. Relatively slow guy. Now he managed to get a free spot with his commander unbuttoned on the Panther. The Humber, despite being here basically to spot for the other guys, failed to get a spot. And then finally over here, the Cromwell moved up to the ambush terrain but failed to move into it to clear it. However, he did manage to get a round straight in the breach, passing a skill check with his gunner, and he got a free spot on his unbuttoned officer as well. Now it's on to the Germans. You've halted.
I have halted.
And now you're going for...
I'm going to attempt to fast load the special ammo in.
Okay. Gets it. Straight in the breach.
And then I'll attempt to free spot the Churchill.
Going for the Churchill first. And he gets it. Straight into action phase 2. First up the Humber, moved and then scooted to just gingerly get over that dry stone wall. The Churchill joined him doing the same, getting a 5 on his highest scoot dice, which is good. So he's actually managed to slightly overtake the Humber there, despite his base 4 movement. Now, I'm going for a free spot with the Humber because he hasn't managed to get a spot yet, but I can't do any aiming, although I am now in his side arc. So I need to start getting some rounds in the chamber. I thought, let's get forward as quick as we can whilst he hasn't got... whilst he hasn't aimed at me yet, whilst he's not ready to fire. So, free spot on the Humber. Yes, he gets it. So now everyone's spotting that Panther. Cromwell's also going for an advance. We pass it and we can push 9 inches through this ambush terrain, causing it to become cleared, making me a bit safer from any support that JP's taking. Now he's pushed through to the front of this ambush terrain. Currently, he will be hull down until he pushes up to the wall. However, he's gone for his aim as his tactical action. So now this Panther, if it turns to put its front armour towards these 2 tanks, he has a round in the chamber and he's aimed. He's ready to pop one in the side. So, Operation Pincer Manoeuvre is in effect. Colour me surprised, JP's gone for a little bit of an edgy manoeuvre here. He decided instead of aiming, he gets 2 dice on the Panther, even when he's just spotted. So as I cross over that wall, I was like, right, I'll get over the wall, I'll chuck my smoke grenades next turn. But he's going to pop a shot. He's cranking that first round out the breach. 2 shots needing a 5. He gets a hit. Okay. So armour 8 in the side. You're over 18 inches. So what's the pen on that?
It's a special 11.
You put a special. Your only special round in first. And notice that.
Right. So I need to roll for location.
It's going to be tracks.
Tracks.
Okay. So you can't knock him out. So that is going to put a track damage on him. Action phase 3. First 2 activations for the Brits. The Humber's advanced forward 8 inches and he's put a round into the chamber. So he's now, all he needs to do is aim and start popping shots off. The Churchill advanced forward his 4 inches and then I passed a skill check to do a free pivot and another skill check to get a round straight in the breach. So we're on his side armour, aimed with a round in the breach. However, finally, with my 3rd and final activation of the first turn, I have a cunning manoeuvre here, JP. I'm going to try and pass a skill check with my gunner on the Cromwell to aim high. That means I get to roll 2 location dice if I get a hit. And if I get that hit, I get to keep the highest location dice. And I think you'll notice, JP, that you presented the side armour of your turret to my Cromwell there, so there is a chance, and he's got a round in the breach. Let's see what he can do. Cover 2 dice needing a 5. He gets a hit. Right, we're going for aim high on the location. I need to pass a skill check on a 2 to do this. We get that. Okay, now we're aiming high. 2 dice, pick the highest. We get the turret, JP. Okay, so he's a pen of, I believe, 4, because we're going to be over 18-inch range. Your side armour of your turret is a 6. 2 to glance. Come on, for King George here. It's a 4, it's a pen. Okay. Now I've I've beaten you by 2. So that means I can knock you out on a 1 or a 2. Okay, so I roll to see if I auto knock you out. If I don't auto knock you out, we'll see what the effect is on the damage chart. But it's a pen. Whoa, veteran gunner slots one straight through the side of that Panther turret, knows what he's doing. Okay, we get a 3, so I don't believe you're knocked out. So he's avoided being knocked out with that hit through the side, but we've got to see if there's any additional effect on the hardware or crew. So 1 or 2 isn't a thing. A 5 or 6 is the hardware, I believe. So we roll again and see what part of the tank we've damaged with that penetration. You don't do this on tracks, hits, even if you get the pen, and you can't auto knock them out either. But the benefit is if you hit someone in the tracks, it's like armour really low, like 4, 5, 3 sometimes. So 4.
Jammed around, despite the ringing in his ears, not the last time. Blow, the gunner realises that the round has become jammed in the loading mechanism.
Must be free. So, if the tank has an ammunition token in the load or ready box, it immediately moves back to the ammunition. You're okay.
I'm okay.
He's fired that round off already, so he made the right decision there. He took a chance and fired off instead of holding to see if he could get 3 dice. He got the hit he needed, and then I shot him just in time. Potentially, if I'd hit you a second earlier, it would have brewed you up with that round in the turret. So,
my God.
Yeah, but 1 more damage token on you will result in you having to abandon the tank. Any 2 damage tokens on the turret or hull knocks you out, or 3 on the tracks. So I can take 2 more on the tracks, or I'd have to get 2 on the hull and turret, just so people understand. So, we're getting a little bit closer. First couple of games when we were learning how to play, we didn't really take the skill check on our gunners to aim high or low, because you can risk not being able to shoot at all. But with that veteran gunner, and with low penetration, and with the armour being separate for the turret and the hull, after our first couple of games we kind of realised, wait a minute, there is a way to hunt this Panther. And so far so good for the Brits. Let's see if he can brew me up. Final activation of turn 1 is, of course, the Panther. Then we'll be rejigging initiative. Now, after taking a shot in the side, JP had actually planned to reverse, of course, to try and get out of the side arc of these guys. And he's pivoted on as well. He's ignoring the first accurate shot in the side. And he's and also this guy's obviously emptied his breech, so to speak. So these guys are more ready to fire, so better having the front armour on against them. Now you're going for a skill check?
Yeah, I need to try and slam load another AP in.
AP, he gets it. So another round straight into the breach. Brings us to the end of turn 1. And what a first turn for the Brits. They've risked it by getting into the open. They've not popped any smoke. The only defensive manoeuvre is twisting with the Churchill. He has a round in the chamber. However, he's only spotted the Panther so far, so he's still going to aim at him. The Humber's dashing towards the opposing side of the board, just making it into his deployment zone, because he gets to pull his tape off. Not that that matters for scoring yet, I've got to get off the board. However, halfway mark is nothing to be sniffed at. He has aimed at the Panther, and he has a round in the breach, which is a great position to be in. And then, as we saw, great shot. Although this guy hasn't got any loaded, he is still aiming at that Panther, and he put the first round straight through the side of the Panther's turret, which was sweet. So now we need to roll for time. We're going to be pulling event cards at the start of next turn, so we could start getting some resources in here as well. So time for me, only 3 minutes past, 7 more to go before he gets that stug. Can we get an auto win here before the stug turns off? Of turn 2, and I've drawn a reinforcements card and an extra reinforcement card. That allows me to activate 3 assets. So these assets are available to me now from this point onwards in the game. until I use the card, of course. Now we're going to flip for initiative. So what's the Panther got?
Oh, he's going second.
He's going second. Okay, so I do get to go first with one of you. Who? Humber is last. It's the Cromwell. Okay. Right, well, I know what I'm doing with the Cromwell. So he has got a move forward action. And then I'm going to play an event card onto the breach, which lets me slam load around without passing a check. Just as the Panther activates from off table, there's a boom from a 17-pounder anti-tank. And this is one of my 4-star asset cards. So it's the most expensive one. Now roll 3 dice if I can trace a line of sight from my base edge to an enemy tank. So I'm just tracing right along the edge of the board here into his side armor. I hit on a 6. I get to roll 3 dice. Can we do what we need to do? Come on, artillery. No hits, okay. Never now activates. He pivots, passing his skill check with the driver. Then he reverses. So now he's putting his front armor on with both his turret and his hull against both groups of tanks, 4 now in their current positioning. And he's also aimed at the Churchill. So he'll be firing more shots. Churchill next. He's going for an aim action on the Panther. He's now going to try and do a skill check with his driver for a pivot. Free pivot before the move. He gets it, so he's going to
play bad day, you're going to have to re-roll it.
Okay. No, I don't believe I get it.
Humber has advanced forward just an inch or 2 away from this barrage, and he's already aimed, he's got a round in the breach. He's shooting through terrain, but he can see that Panther. So he's going to have 1 dice on a 5. Come on, lad. Nope. Activating first action phase 2. I've gone for a left turn. So I get up to 4-inch movement. I'm going to pivot and just drive up against the wall here and turn my turret on against this Panther. That maneuver and a round in the chamber. I'm shooting at the Panther in the side and I am aimed. It's going to be 2 dice because I'm shooting through some barrage and down to 1 dice because I've moved. Needing a 5. Come on, lad. No. Panther's halted. He's aiming at the Churchill and he's got a round in the chamber. Now he is shooting through terrain this time, so it's only going to be 2 dice still, needing a 5. And he gets another hit. Front armor is 10.
He'll be aiming high.
Aiming high. So you've got to roll a order check, skill check on your gunner. Needing a 3. He gets it. So he rolls 2 dice and picks the highest for location now. He gets the tracks again. That's what I wanted. And a 3 plus what's the pen of your gun at over 18? 11. So you get through on 1. So you do pen him on 1, but because it's tracks, it's just another track damage. Now normally 2 damage tokens would force the crew to abandon the tank, but because it's in the tracks, you need 3. Now that the Churchill is crippled with 2 hits to the tracks, the result of that is that he cannot move with a normal movement action. He has to use his tactical action to do a scoot, which means he's now, if you want, he can't aim, he can't shoot, he can't load if he wants to move. At this point in the game, we should probably mention that because we've taken a couple of hits, we've had taken some button-up checks. Now, JP's commander got wounded severely by the turret hit sent in from the Cromwell, and he's actually buttoned up for the rest of the game and degraded to only green, so he lost 2 stars from that. All the British commanders, or rather the only British commander who's been targeted, still standing proud out of that turret, not even flinching because he's only been hit in the tracks. Now it's the Churchill's activation. Of course, he's got that halt order. Now I'm over 18-inch range, which means I can't penetrate the Panther's front armor. In fact, I can't penetrate him even at close range. So I'm not actually going for a shoot order. JB has played haze, which means even if I were to shoot any rounds at long range, counters basically snap fire, which means you're almost definitely going to miss. Just keeping him safe from any incoming fire in the sides this turn. Let's see how far I move with a scoot, because I'm not air shooting. And I get 1 inch.
Cromwell continued his sweep manoeuvres, this time with a right turn advance, and he passed a skill check with the gunner to get around straight into the breach. Now it's the Panther. He's going for a load check first.
Load check first.
And then he's going to try and do a pivot and a reverse.
So load check.
Fails it on a 1.
Play Charmed Life, get a reroll on it.
Gets it, are you?
3 plus,
Yeah, 3 up. He makes it. He's trained.
So that's loaded in.
And now you need a skill check on the drive. You won't be able to reverse if you fail this. 3 pivot. No, fails it. Now you can't get a calamity on a pivot, but he just stays.
Onto the Cromwell, because
Turn the turret onto the Cromwell now. The Cromwell gunner complains to the commander. He wants to take the shot at the side of the Panther's turret, but the order's not given because it's going to be it'll be a snap fire, 6 followed by 6 to hit because of that event card, because we're over half range. So instead the commander gives the driver the order to ease the tank forward, 2d6. Movement. He gets a 4. Final activation, the Humber has pivoted and dashed along the side of the Bocage. As he's a wheeled vehicle, he cannot push his way through it, and instead he'll have to make his way through one of the gaps in the hedge, such as this little fence here. With that, we come to the end of action phase 3 for turn 2. Now it's JP's turn to see how many minutes elapsed. He's going to roll 2d6. He needs a 7 for his stud to come in.
7, come on.
He gets it. Okay, so we're on 11 minutes past out of 45. The stud can move on the board at some point in this turn. Oh, now just before we flip initiative tokens for this turn, we have realised a slight mistake we've made here. You see, JP, his second hit against the Churchill went through the Bocage. That's why he was -1 dice. And when you shoot through Bocage, you count as hull down, which means that when you roll for location, if the number is lower or equal to the hull down value of the tank, that shot in fact misses. And when you shoot through Bocage, unlike linear terrain, you always count as hull down, even if you're not touching it or in it. So that actually puts him to not crippled anymore. So we're just going to play on from there. We're not going to give him an extra move or anything like that. It is what it is, but we just wanted to point that out to you guys, because there's a lot of steps to the shooting phase, and it's, easy to miss one, even when you've got the rulebook right in front of you. Okay, so straight into turn 3 initiative. Now, the Brits finally passed a radio check. Now, I'm going 3rd with the Cromwell, 1st with the Churchill, and 2nd with the Humber. It's a nice spread, I'm not going to lie. And JP didn't get his radio check, and because he's can't see each other, but he's got a reserve, and he's 4th and 5th, placing those blind. So let's see what orders I've given here. Churchill's going for an advance 4 inches into this ambush terrain. What we should mention is you don't get line of sight through Bocage, so I need to push forward so I can shoot through this rocky outcrop instead, where I'll actually be able to see him. His reverse and my previous advance forward put us out of line of sight of each other. Previous shots down this flank, as you can see, there is a gap in the fence there, so we can draw line of sight through that, which is why the Panther turned to face me, because he can't see me through that bit of Bocage there. That's why it's backed up to there. Right, okay, so we have to roll a skill check on my driver, needing a 4 up. Come on, lad. He gets it, he pushes in, so I'll have moved. I am aiming at you with a round in the breech. I'm going to go for it. 1 shot on a 5 in the side. Okay, it's moved -1, and it's shooting through cover -1. But then I've got a 3 on an aim. So let's see if we can pull this off. Come on, needing a 5 now. Yes, we get a hit in the side of that Panther. Point out an interesting part of the rules here. Now you'll notice, usefully in the rule book, it is actually a Panther as an example, but when you're doing facing, when you're shooting, you draw diagonally from corner to corner on the vehicle. It's not 45 degrees from each corner like it is in some games. So that is a side shot, just in case you were wondering, because if we draw corner to corner across that Panther, I'm well
within his sight. So we'll just roll to see location.
I'm aiming high, but before I pop the shot, I'm going to play poor cover. That just reduces his hold down. So when I roll for location, I'm only going to miss him on a 1 because he's hold down through this bit of rocky outcrop here. Okay, so rolling for location now. I'm going to try and pass a gunner order check because he is skill 2 up. And we get that, so I can roll 2 dice and I'm aiming high. I want to try and get him through the turret. It's slightly softer, armor 6. We get him in the hull. So because we're aiming high, we roll 2 dice and pick the highest. So it's in the hull, that's armor 7. My pen's 4 at this range. So I need a 3 to glance, but a glance is all I need. Oh no, yes, because it's 2 damage tokens, isn't it? So a glance is all I need to knock him out. If I can do this before the stud comes on, it's auto win for the Brits. Come on, lads. It is a 4 plus 4, that's 8 through his armor on the hull, on the side of a 7. So we'll see if we brew him up, because it's important if we carry on in another battle report as a campaign. So I beat you by 2. So it's a 1 or a 2 to knock him out with the pen. And he gets the 1. The Panther is knocked out by a side shot. 1 dice is all he needs. And that's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. We haven't knocked this Panther out yet in 3 games. But you know, what the Russians couldn't do, the plucky Brits have done. Oh, what an amazing quick little game there. We only got 3 turns in, but you know, JP's on the back foot there, man. He's, you know,
I've had 3 activations.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He's got 1 tank versus 3 until his reserves come in. His reserves coming in, but unfortunately, now we pick tokens randomly. So my 1, 2, and 3, I don't get to pick those even with a radio check. I just get to know what I've got, so I can activate my tanks in the order that I desire, which is what gave me the advantage in this moment right now. Perfect timing. But JP, you know, it's just a look at the draw. He got a 5 on his stug there. And if he'd got the stug on before I'd taken that shot, then that would be, you know, him not auto-wiped because he's got a unit on the board. But now he's auto-wiped. So in terms of scoring, it will be a 1-point victory. I've knocked out 1 tank. He's not knocked out any. And I've not got any units off the board edge. So it just ends on 1 point. So if this was potentially a tournament in the future or something like that, that could be almost too quick of an ending, I guess. But how long do we get? 11 minutes into a 45-minute match. Maybe, you know, the Panther G, we're learning a hell of a lot every single game. You know, just in terms of the terrain rules, it's quite complex. The aiming thing has made a massive difference this game. Aiming high, aiming low. JP got really unlucky, aimed high and got a double 2. But what can you do? What are your thoughts there? Because we found this Panther literally unbeatable, and now with just a little bit of change in tactics, like these guns are probably worse than the Russians. Can't remember what the Russian stats are, but a Pen 4 is not great.
I think they're the same stats of them.
Give or take, isn't it? Yeah, same range, same realm, same sort of area. So what are your thoughts there? Because the Panther's just it was so unstoppable. But now it seems like, you know, I guess...
I mean, it was 3-on-1. I said, you can move about. I'm trying to get me facings onto each tank at the same time, but... I think it was all against me from the beginning.
Yeah, you rolled low on your crew dice. You rolled low on your special ammunition. Well, you know, you
never
got
to
1
play
round.
my cards.
Never got to play your reinforcement cards because I think I got 3 or 4 of the reinforcement cards, so I got all my assets in. I got all my assets in from the first 2. I just kept drawing them in my hand, and JP got none, so he never got to use his assets, because whatever assets you buy, you only get to bring them on if you get the reinforcement or extra reinforcement event card, which is interesting. So nothing went JP's way. The Panther had to just fight it out. And when you've got 2 clusters of vehicles, this is how you get through
a big tank.
A big tank is, although it can put its front armour on against you, and you know, you did really well with positioning. There was a couple of action phases where all my tanks were front on against you, and there's nothing I could do. And that's when I made the choice to move. But that's why I like this kind of back and forth actions. You know, every tank gets 3 actions plus a little bit here and there, depending on crew checks. Instead of taking all 3 of yours, and then someone takes all 3 of theirs, it's really nice to have this sort
Back
of
and forth.
yeah, it's so fluid, and you get to respond to what they're doing. You're edge backwards. I'm like, right, damn it, he's edged behind that barrage. We can't see him anymore. Right, I'll push forward, see if we can get a shot through here. Right, take it easy, driver. Don't detrack us. And then we push in. Yep, clear the ambush terrain. We can take a shot through. You know, and it's whether you chance it. JP decides to shoot early on. He got a shot straight in the open. Damaged my running gear. Because he's like 2 dice even on a spot. That's one of the advantages.
Should have aimed high there, potentially.
Yeah, should have. Well, you couldn't because you weren't aimed. You can only do the aim high or aim low roll when you aim. So the Panther has the advantage that he can pop 2 shots, which is as good as many tanks, on just a spot. But he can't place that shot. But he can get that early hit in. And if you, by the look of the dice, got me in the turret, you could have knocked me out. It's just unfortunately got me in the running gear, which means you can't auto knock someone out in the running gear. So again, you know, JP, the Panther was doing what it should do. He was manoeuvring, he was doing whatever he could, but eventually, you know, there's only so much you can do to stop 3 tanks getting in the side, especially with that turret and hull situation. As soon as he turned face on to shoot this guy, as I was coming up close to him, I'm going to start getting within 18 inches. You know, he had to face him, hopefully knock him out with 1 shot, but then his, you know, side on over here with his turret is what it is, and hull. So really, well, I'm just loving this game. I think I'm rambling a lot in this after action review, but I don't know how much people are going to learn from this, take away from it, but it's a flipping good game, isn't it?
We need to keep playing.
we need some more. We need more Achtung Panzer. Oh man, I can't believe I knocked out the Panther. That feels like such an achievement. Plucky Brits. Right, so we'll leave it there. Let us know what you think. If you've got your first few games of Achtung Panzer in, let us know.
What's your favourite tank?
What's your favourite tank? I'm just loving the fact that you can use... This is one of the big points for me. There's a lot of big bonuses to this game. One of them is that you can use vehicles which aren't very good in bolt action and have fun with the tanks you like in a totally different format, you know, so that they're actually good in it. It's a different game, totally different game.
Yeah, totally different game.
Totally
like
different
vehicles
game.
where completely different. There's advantages to them.
You've got the double facing,
fire
you know,
rate.
you're not just side on, you could be front on with you and side on at the same time, you know, as we've said several times. Yeah, and what else were we going to say? There was another big thing to take. It kind of feels like with you placing the shots and like having damage based on where you hit them and stuff like that, it feels like War Thunder Tabletop Edition.
Really does.
I'm putting that out there. It's like War Thunder Tabletop Edition. Like it really is, just spotting through your binoculars.
You're aiming the shots.
Aiming those shots, trying to put them through the air.
Guessing the range.
Yeah, guessing the range, trying to shoot the driver out of the hull, or, you know, it's great, man. Really good feel to it. So I guess we'll sort of wrap it up there, I suppose.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think, guys, down below. If you're enjoying the battle reports, give us a like. Make sure you subscribe. We've still got plenty more bolt action and Achtung Panzer in the future coming out. So yeah, I hope you found this video interesting and entertaining. This has been the Scholar Progenium. Thank you very much for your time. Goodbye.